I'm Mike.
I'm Kat.
I'm Jay.
And today we have an epic interview.
We kill lights.
Corporations have more power than the government. Everyone's fighting for power, for control. Help! Please!
Each of you needs to be willing to die. Anything less, and you're already dead.
You know, I think our female demographic is going to go up now. These two handsome men here.
All right.
I like how they put our posters, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, last time you guys here, blah, 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 you signed these posters.
What does blah 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 mean?
Because I couldn't speak.
He's really nervous.
Yeah, really nervous. These two great voice actors, Elias Toufexis, who's in many TV shows, usually as a villain. Best known as Adam Jensen in Deus Ex Human Revolution. Mark Meer, a legend in the improv community. And also does many bioware voices, especially in Mass Effect, and is Commander Shepard.
And he improv the whole thing.
Yes. Yeah. Just
No script for 9 years or something, right?
Yeah. It's hard. I was just making shit up. Yeah.
Is that why people didn't like the ending very much?
Yeah,
It is why there's that word at a time story, like in the middle of 2, and then.
But we're not going to talk about the ending because you talked about the ending.
We did last
So
time.
if you guys if we don't cover something, check out our older videos. Link in the underbar. Elias was here before, and so was Mark Meer.
Mark, and Elias, we got you a fruit basket.
Nice fruit basket.
It's actually a
A
puck.
fruit puck.
Because we know that Elias loves hockey.
I do.
Yeah.
Look at this! Finally, we get him to
Oh,
eat
look,
something.
he smiled.
Yay.
Wow.
So you guys have worked together on something, but you've never met before.
Did we?
Is that true?
Did we work on something together?
No.
Can't do your research.
No.
Yeah.
You said this, yes.
I was on
You messed
Supernatural.
up.
Oh, no,
Oh.
actually, what we did work on together was a charity, Gamers for Sandy Hook.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, okay. Give us something.
Oh, it's this thing.
What's happening?
Our fan gave that to us. Joe Pearson?
We've got fans.
Gamers for Sandy Hook is a charity that both Elias and I were involved with. Elias did some signings for them, and I think you did a YouTube message for them as well.
Yeah.
And my contribution was offering a Skype date with the highest donor for a certain time
It
period.
was amazing.
Yes, and Twitter user GamerMD83 was the winner, and I just did my Skype date with her last week.
I guess this is a good segue, because I'm kind of curious what your opinions are on violence in video games. Do you think it actually impacts kids?
Gamers for Sandy Hook, their whole raison d'etre was not to sort of show that video games
Oh,
are
no,
not
no, no,
violent,
no.
and they weren't really
No, it had
interested
nothing to
in
do with it.
promoting that debate.
We're not
They
going to
were-
cut that together like that.
No. But they actually just wanted to help as much as they could. No,
Yeah.
violence in video games, I think that this is something that comes through in society every now and then, and we've seen it like in the 1950s. Comic books, for example, were blamed for a lot of societal ills. When I was a kid, like in the 1980s, Dungeons and Dragons role-playing games,
Did they blame that?
They were, yeah.
What?
They
No.
How?
Back in the 80s, kids were building trapdoors everywhere because of Dungeons and Dragons. People were falling.
Yeah.
National disaster.
Lots of crimes committed with +1 swords.
That's right.
Yeah.
Having sex like
20-sided
demons.
dice being thrown.
If you look back, actually, opera was blamed in the 1700s.
Yes, yeah.
Like anything that's new is blamed for violence.
Yeah,
So
I
it
mean,
could be anything.
Yeah.
Opera can be quite violent.
It could. Well, there's people getting killed, and
Constantly.
there's handkerchiefs that are red that represent blood. Like that could be. That's very.
he's
visual.
well versed in the opera.
Oh, I love the opera.
Last night he was up until like
So
4 a.m.
I remember the first real film that I watched all the way through was RoboCop.
Nice.
So I mean, we got these guys getting their heads blown off and hands blown off. I never wanted to go out and kill anybody. I will say though, when you play a game like Battlefield or Modern Warfare Online, and you get these 13-year-old, 12-year-old kids who are cursing up a storm and just super violent. Maybe it's the way that they can vent, you know, if they're angry at something. And I don't think it really makes people go out there and say, now what I did in the game, I'm going to go do in real life.
Well, it's a safe way to vent.
There's aggression
That's a
in
better way to
professional
get it out.
sports, right?
Well, that's what professional sports are all about.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that in a case when you have a tragedy like this, of course people want to look for a reason.
Yeah.
And they want to look for, the most convenient reason and something that they can vent their frustration on.
The question for both of you: name the one role you didn't get but really wish you had.
I mean, for me, it's mostly things like when I look at a job that I could have had that would have given me job security for a good long time. One of those, sometimes I'll get, really close after 4 or 5 callbacks, and then I don't book it, and
that's the worst.
those get annoying. When it's like, you start planning with what you're going to do with the money.
And then, you were really pissed off you didn't become the spokesman for Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
Weren't you going to be Neo from The Matrix?
I was going to be Neo. No.
Ordering a donut?
I did. Yeah. I just did a Tim Hortons voiceover commercial. I wouldn't hire me to do a Tim Hortons. Like, who's going to buy me? Who's going to buy Tim Hortons if I say, come on, get some Tim Hortons?
Single mothers are going to be like, oh, yeah. Let's get into those donuts.
Boston cream.
Timbits.
Squeezing Boston creams out on the screen?
I've actually got every part I've ever auditioned for. So it's no, actually, I obviously there are parts, and I do a lot of theater as well. So there've been theater roles where I'm like,
dummies.
I get it. I hope I get it. But ultimately, I think in video games specifically, I did a lot of demo work on the original Knights of the Old Republic.
You were saying that, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned last time that I was the demo Carthonasi, and my co-star for Mass Effect, Raphael Savarge, actually ended up doing...
Stole it.
Yeah.
That happens a lot in video games. I worked on demos for years and years and years, so much so that I would have people who see the demo contact me going, are you in this game? You're in this game. And when the actual game comes out, I had nothing to do with it.
I was sad I didn't get to be the Imperial officers that I did the demos for, because I like being the bad guys more.
Yeah.
The Imperials. And I had I used a British accent.
Nice.
Yeah.
You were a shoo-in. Have either of you been in a fist fight ever?
I've been in a couple of fist fights.
Of course
a couple?
he has.
Elias?
That's how his voice got like that. He used to be like,
What punch in the jugular?
Somebody punched me in
Leave
the
me
throat.
alone!
I got in a couple of fights in bars and things when I was younger, but nothing major. I remember once, not homeless, but
you beat up a homeless man?
Really?
Elias!
A very smelly, drunk person who came into a bar, and the bartender asked him to leave, and he got mad, and he knocked down my girlfriend at the time.
Oh, shit.
And so I grabbed him, and I was going to throw him out, and he was starting to throw punches, and I put him on the table. And I remember specifically raising my fist, and then just saying, I'm not going to hit a drunk, poor, smelly... Because he didn't know what he was doing, and that was the last fight I was ever in. I was like 10 years.
You said, screw it, and you knocked him on.
Yeah. You activated your augmentation and right through his skull.
How many people come up to you and go, hey, you got an aug?
Yeah. How's your dick?
I showed...
What?
No one does that, right?
I get that anyway.
Does that, yeah.
Well, the women might do that.
Mike texts me all the time.
Yeah.
How's your dick
Elias, how's your dick? Mark, how did you do a 53-hour improv?
Actually, I'd like to know how Elias is digging. No. Go on.
Girthy. But,
yes. And also, I've never been in a fist
talked
fight.
about that already.
I've
never.
Not. I'm strictly a spellcaster.
I figured from your reaction, you're like this, you're like...
It's like, come on,
Talked about that. If your characters from these 2 wonderful video games here were to have a showdown,
right?
hey, who do you think would win?
So Shepard versus Jensen.
Yeah.
Who's going to win here?
Okay, well... I think the technology from the Mass Effect universe might be a little more advanced than the Deus Ex technology.
You hear that?
I'm listening.
Yeah. It's a little further along. It's like space travel and whatnot.
Badass.
Oh, certainly. I'm not denying the badassery of either character.
Right, if it was a badass contest.
Yeah, sure. But we're talking about a straight up fight.
Who looks better in sunglasses?
And of course it would depend whether you're talking about my Paragon Shepard or my Renegade Shepard.
This is true.
Yeah.
Good
I think the tech edge is there. My Paragon is a fairly powerful biotic too, so I think that would
The fuck are you talking about?
But they keep bringing up augments. I'm like,
right,
what are you talking about? It could be a pretty tight
You
fight.
just spit it out. You win, you think.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
we're both
okay.
going to say that we win.
I'm going to say that the Shepard from the Control ending is probably going to take it, being an immortal Reaper god.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
Jensen's just like half man, half robot. So.
Yeah, and then it would just be, hey, I'm a ship that's thousands of miles long.
But if the fight was in Montreal, Adam Jensen would win.
Right.
Probably.
Because
yeah.
he knows his surroundings.
I know my surroundings.
Yeah, you could hide and come back. And
Hide in
hide
the
and
Olympic
come back.
Stadium, like in the game.
If it was in Vancouver, then Shepard would take it. He knows Vancouver.
Yes, that's
very
true.
well.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I
Very
lived in
true.
Vancouver for 8 years, man.
No, future Vancouver.
Oh. How do you guys feel about outsourcing in video games? Do you think a studio should develop the game fully on their own? Deus Ex had a little issue with outsourcing, where the boss battles were outsourced, and that was the weakest part of the game.
The issue these days with video games is that what happens is, I think, from my point of view, is they have a start date and they have a release date. And when they're getting closer to the release date, if they're not going to hit it, they start outsourcing.
Oh, okay.
And then it becomes a problem. As you can see with the recently released...
I was just going to bring that up.
Colonial Marines.
Horrible.
I bought it like that.
Yeah.
I spent $120 in the damn collector's
Special
edition because I thought, that's it, it's Aliens, I'm doing it. I'm going through it on Splinter Cell. I'm watching how Splinter Cell Blacklist develops and what marketing is releasing when. But that's all handled in Ubisoft. Different sections in different cities of Ubisoft, but it's all handled by one company. But with Colonial Marines, it was a little bit of a... There were, I think it was like 3 companies involved or something like that, and it was just a... It was just a messed up situation.
They're saying that Gearbox made like less than 10% of the game, but their name's all over it.
Right.
Isn't that weird?
It's just a messed up situation.
Speaking personally, I'd be. I know some people scream bloody murder when a game is late, but I'd be like, if you've got to hold off for a couple of months to make it perfect.
It's going to be way better.
Yeah. You know, like I saw
Grand
the fans.
Theft Auto 5 right now is delayed, and everyone's really upset. But it's that game's just going to be like a masterpiece. Right?
Well, it's like
so it can take.
But what's
2
weird?
months.
It's kind of weird is like Grand Theft Auto 5 gets delayed and everyone loses their head, and then The Last of Us, which is a PS3 exclusive, gets delayed, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's going to make the game better." You can't please anyone out there anymore. But
Yeah, you can please me.
I'll please you.
Yeah.
So, random question. If you guys could act in any movie that's already out as any character, who would you want to be?
Really?
I would pick Tomb Raider. I would be Lara Croft.
I'd love to see you in Blade Runner.
That'd be Dennis Hopper in Blue Velvet.
Anything Harrison Ford did in the 80s. Actually.
I'd probably pick. Although actually, I wouldn't necessarily even pick a lead. I'd pick something like Grima Wormtongue in The Lord of the Rings, just so it's like I'll get to do scenes with Christopher Lee. I don't want to replace Christopher Lee. I'll do scenes with him. But
Actually, you'd be really good at that role.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes,
That's
I am.
smart, picking one so you can act with someone that
No,
you
you're
respect.
really good idea. Do either of you want to be in a Star Wars game?
In a Star Wars game?
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. As I say, I did demo stuff for Knights of the Old Republic, so it would be nice to be.
Well, BioWare must be working on something for Star Wars. Maybe a sequel to Knights.
Well, even if I knew, I couldn't tell you.
Like, what if you're in a game and it gets like 2 out of 10?
I mean, if it was the lead, like if Deus Ex had bombed, I wouldn't be here. So
No, you'd still be here.
that doesn't mean I would have turned it down.
We'd still invite you.
We'd still invite you, Elias.
Thanks, guys.
Mark, you have what's your record of improv? Like 53 hours straight without sleep?
Yes, I've done many of these marathon performances, and the one in Edmonton, 53 hours long. And there's one in London that's 50 hours long, which I was heading to the last time I spoke to you guys.
Right, and how do you do it? Like, how do you stay up for that long and then and entertain people instead?
Well, now the one that I just did in January was the 22nd time I've done it all the way through.
Oh my god.
And I have to say it gets easier every time you do it.
You're more mentally prepared for it?
I think so. Also, the first,
calculate how
first
many
4
hours
or
it is.
5. Oh yeah, please do. The first, 4 or 5 times that I did it, it was like dropping acid. It's like you hallucinate, you go through all kinds of weird mental states.
That's how many hours you've been improving, just that section.
Just in the improv.
1,060 hours.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's basically a matter of your body and mind getting used to it, I think, because you still get very tired. You still you get
I
exhausted.
just imagine you going, I heard somebody say go to sleep for 4 hours, so I'll try that.
I'll do that.
Has there ever been a moment when you're in the middle of it on stage and you go, yeah, I need to go lay down?
No, not anymore.
I want to bring up Splinter Cell Blacklist.
Sure.
You did motion capture for that in the studio at Ubisoft because I saw I did see some of the footage of you acting around with these big blue blocks.
Yeah, you saw some of that, cool.
Is the motion capture more fun to do that, or would you rather just go into a voice box and do the
Is it a pain in the ass to have that gear on?
It's a pain in the ass, but it's a much better way to do a video game now. Performance capture is the way video games are going now, almost exclusively, unless you're a first person. On Blacklist, on Assassin's Creed, on Rainbow Six, it was all full on, like leotards and the.
Oh, that's amazing. So sexy.
Yeah, it's really
sexy. Is it really?
No, I'm
There was no motion capture for me because, of course, the default Shepard is portrayed by Mark Vanderloo.
Elias, why are all your ex-girlfriends so beautiful?
It's just a rule of law.
It's like magnets.
Really? I don't have that many. It's not like I have 30. I have like 4.
I just wondered if you had any advice for the rest of us.
On getting beautiful girls?
Yeah.
Just sitting next to one.
How do you get a beautiful ex-girl?
Oh.
I think it's more important. How do you get a beautiful ex-girl?
Are there any films that you guys are excited for that are coming out in the next year?
Man of Steel.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely Man of Steel. Iron Man 3.
Star Trek?
Nah,
New Star Trek?
I don't like Star Trek.
You don't like
What?
Didn't like the Abrams Star Trek?
No, I didn't like it.
Really?
Now, how do
What
you
did
feel
you
about
like
Abrams?
about it?
Let me explain. I think it's a well-made movie. I think it's very enjoyable and fun. I just don't think it's Star Trek. I think it's Star Trek in name only at this point.
Well, it's Star Trek in an alternate timeline.
Yeah, but no, it's not, because it's Star Trek in name only. In other words, they took the Star Trek name and characters and they made Star Wars, which is why I'm excited that he's doing the Star Wars movie, because essentially Star Trek is Star Wars anyway.
I agree with you.
But there's nothing wrong with, like, don't get me wrong, I think it's a wonderfully made film.
He was going to kill me with the...
We have to mention the second part of The Hobbit, which I quite enjoyed. I like
The Hobbit.
The Desolation of Smaug.
Oh, that's
which will
coming.
be-
Oh,
which
okay,
will
that's
be
coming out. Yes.
Yes,
yes.
there's a part of me that wishes it was only 2 movies. I did find myself laughing in the theater when I realized it's been an hour and they still haven't left Bilbo's house.
I know. I was like,
And that hour is about Peter Jackson's weight loss. That whole thing about him.
And the Eagles show up again, and you're just like, well, why didn't the Eagles just?
They should
bring 'em?
always use the Eagles.
Just-
They should just call the
just
Eagles
use
first.
the Eagles,
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
call them and go to the goddamn and drop it down in the. You know
It's
what
about
I mean?
the journey, people.
Yeah. Okay, I guess. It's,
Of course, I mean, if you've read the books, they actually do go into the reasons why they can't just get the Eagles to take the ring and throw it in.
Well,
'Cause-
why can't they?
Well, the Eagles in the book talk, and they're sort of a little more arrogant and haughty, and they're like sort of Gandalf has to sort of really wheedle and beg them for
Really?
favors. Yeah. So
Well,
they're,
can't he be like, here's like 12,000 seeds, bring it over?
but the Eagles know
Here's
they're
some
sort of like,
breadcrumbs.
hey man, we could solve all your problems. Like, oh, what are you gonna do for us? You know, they're
greedy.
They're like, okay,
Wow.
Gandalf, this time, I did you a
this
favor.
time you were
Unbelievable.
about
Well,
to
the
die.
Eagles, you have to understand their point of view. They're like the only guy in Middle Earth who has
They're
a car.
American.
Yeah, they're the
Yeah.
only ones with a car, so it's like everyone's
Okay.
calling
They
them for
fly
a ride
anywhere.
constantly.
They are
They're like, I'm not a
American
taxi
Eagles.
Yeah.
service.
Yes.
God.
Yeah.
Mark
What?
Meir is a huge nerd.
I am.
You have no idea what you want to see in the next Star Wars trilogy, and also they're doing standalone movies. What do you want to see in those?
Yeah, I don't want to see anything. I mean, just speaking as I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Ooh. George Lucas is right there right now with a tear.
Yeah. I actually did a play off Broadway about lining up for Star Wars tickets that me and a buddy of mine wrote. It was really funny.
About the prequels?
About the prequels, about,
Right, yes.
about sleeping outside for the prequels, which I did when I was a kid. I don't want to see the Kessel Run. I don't want to see
It's true.
Yoda as a precocious youth.
No.
I don't.
Lifting
Agreed.
weights.
Agreed.
What video game do you guys find the most addictive of all time?
Arkham City.
Arkham City?
Well, and for me, it's like NHL. I play all the time, online with my friends and stuff. But Arkham City, man.
Addictive video game? I tend to get very addicted to the the big open world RPGs. Like I think we mentioned last time how many hours I spent in Skyrim rearranging books in my house.
Yeah.
Things like that, making
So
armor and
Is
things.
that number one for you then?
But again, I'd say in terms of sheer hours log, probably Fallout 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Just for like wandering around trying to find and make every single thing that I could. My wife, of course, saw like little bits of me playing Fallout, but she of course has no idea what my apartment in Fallout looks like. The one that I blew up Megaton to get, and so again, it's just for my own nerdy pleasure, really.
The vlog, lots of people are supporting that, and I wanted to let them ask some questions, really quick questions for you guys. So Maverick, have you ever done any voice work that has touched you emotionally?
Sure. Yeah. You're gonna call me Adam Jensen? aren't you?
Yeah, I was going. Did
Yeah, I mean, in Deus Ex,
you cry? Maverick.
no,
wants to
Adam
know.
Jensen doesn't really cry. So
But did you cry?
no.
Yeah.
I hit the mic a lot by accident.
Because
It
you get
happens to me
angry,
all the
right?
time. Because well, not with Jensen because he's pretty calm, but with other characters like Coban and Splinter, so he's always yelling. So I'm always like yelling, and then just yesterday I banged the mic. Sorry, 15 minutes to reset it.
Oh shit.
Oh really? Wow. Did it get emotional for you? Like for the ending of Mass Effect? were you-
Certainly, yeah. I mean, like the final scene with Keith David, definitely. It was. Are you tempting me with Melon?
Did you work with?
Especially the Renegade one. I was just like, I can't believe I'm doing this. So yeah, there were certainly emotional moments, and I'd say definitely in 3 was where most of them paid off.
So Dual Gun Blade wants to know, Elias.
These are awesome names.
They have great names.
How did people react to your voice before you started voice acting? Did anyone ever basically say to you should do voice somewhere?
Yeah, actually, when I first started acting in cartoons, I do all these crazy voices. I think I talked to you guys about this. And then one of the directors had said to me, when I was just asking for direction in my normal voice, he had said to me, "You know what? You should try doing narration just as your normal voice." I said, All right.
Like this kind of thing.
It's
or-
pretty good. It's pretty good.
I like both of your voices.
Ace wants to know, are you excited for Jurassic Park 4? Mark.
I will probably see it. I won't necessarily rush to the theater to see it. I might see it a little later.
Why would a guy ask two voice actors or video game actors why they care about Jurassic Park?
Well, I don't know. These kids just want to know what you guys are into. You know what I mean?
He's probably 40.
Any developers out there, you got to put these guys together in a next-gen game. That would be epic.
It'd be like Heat. It'd be like Al Pacino and De Niro.
Yeah, we gotta get like Nolan North and Roger Craig Smith and all these other guys.
They don't have the budget for
Do
that.
like the Expendables in video games.
It's too much money.
I'd like something sort of Tango and Cash-esque.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Hey, what if 3 kilobytes did a video game? Would you do it if we paid you proper?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
What inspires you guys in your career? Like, why did you guys pick storytelling?
I can't think of a time when I didn't want to be an actor. That's from when from my first memory. I think we were talking about Star Wars. I think the first time I saw Star Wars, I wanted to be. That was the first movie I was ever taken to.
Did you want to be Luke or Han?
I wanted to be Luke. In fact, I ran away from home
No.
and I went door to door looking for Darth Vader. Apparently, I don't
I
remember.
thought you were going to say power
Amazing.
converters.
That'd be great. Something like 10 years later, when I started learning more about it, I remember seeing Kenneth Branagh's Henry V that was just playing at my uncle's house one day, and I watched it. And that got me to study what acting was.
Mm-hmm.
And then from then, it was like, there was no looking back. There was never anything else I wanted to do.
I didn't actually pursue drama in high school. I grew up in a small town.
That's
course,
surprising. I thought in high school you would have been like the king of the drama.
Yeah.
No, I was the dungeon master of my local Dungeons and
Oh,
Dragons.
Really? That's...
And Dungeons and Dragons was, my sort
Did
of...
you beat him up?
Yeah, well, maybe it could be. No, I was way older. I'd say pretending is something that I've always been into. And pretending a storyteller, I've
For
enjoyed.
36 hours straight.
Yeah, exactly.
53
or 50
hours.
hours.
And then you realized you were just in your bedroom alone.
Exactly. Yeah. I might as well get paid to do this.
Yeah.
Fiction is something that I've always been into. To whether it's watching it, whether it's acting or whatnot.
But you have to say that I've seen lots of your videos online, which are I'm going to be honest. When people tell me to watch their stuff, I'm usually like I lower my expectations. I watched yours, and it was basically like watching Mighty Python. It was that level. It was amazing.
Well, thank you, sir.
And like the level of skits, I truly thought like, why isn't this on TV all the time? This is really like you should be on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, well, thank you. I consider myself a professional pretender, and that's what I do.
What is your next project?
I'm currently working on Splinter Cell Blacklist, which is the only one I'm allowed to talk about.
And Deus Ex for next gen.
yeah. No, I really don't know. I wish I did know.
Has that ever happened in the history? You know any of your friends accidentally said something and they shouldn't have?
I got in trouble at a convention.
Did you?
For Splinter Cell Blacklist. Somebody had asked me if I was working on Splinter Cell 5.
And you
I,
said yes?
I said, no. I said, I hope so. And that they took as a tacit approval that there even was a Splinter Cell 5.
Sorry about
And then-
that.
That's
I
Yeah,
just
that's
got
probably
excited.
Was that you?
Yeah, I was
No,
like,
that
he's in
was
it, he's in it!
And then I got, mad, angry calls from Ubisoft saying, well, what did you do? I'm like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But
you
you
have to be
did
careful.
sign up to do Deus Ex 2.
I wish. Man, I
And-
don't
and
know.
Mass-
Well, I wish that sounds like a yes to me.
Oh, right,
folks.
that's a tacit.
Oh, we won't.
You won't believe what Elias Toufexis said.
And for you,
For me, there are a few things I cannot talk about.
a few. Are you allowed to say how many projects you're working on at least?
I cannot say a number. No, there's
Like in terms of video
there's a
game.
couple of things. There's a couple of video game things.
Amazing.
That are coming up that I
So
cannot.
Mass Effect 3,
I
4.
I-
Are you allowed to say Mass
cannot
Effect
speak.
DLC for 3?
There's been some DLC for Mass Effect 3,
And
and
it's done.
it's theoretically possible that there would be more, but I wouldn't be able to talk about that if that
All right. Well, we gotta try to get something.
and there's some other video game stuff coming up in the
Which
future.
we're obviously excited about. A lot of people are excited to know what you guys are doing next.
Mhm.
So
I wish I could say more, and some animation stuff, which I'm also not able to talk
if
about.
it's a Mass Effect,
I can tell you. I can
Really
tell you
sounds
about
like
the
it's-
Irrelevant Show on CBC Radio. They were currently recording the new season of that.
Okay.
Oh, you can watch 0 Hour on ABC. I'm in that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry about alphas.
I know Alphas got canceled, you jerks.
I don't understand, but when I went to the U.S., Alpha billboards everywhere.
I know. It was a great show. I don't know why it got canceled. I mean, I guess the numbers weren't there.
Actually, I just realized there is something that I should promote, and it's actually the reason that I'm in Toronto. A new web series called Versus Valerie that Kat is actually in as well.
Hi there.
Oh, and I'm not.
Nice.
I'm not.
You're in it
and
too.
you're in it a little.
I'm
too.
actually
But we're
sexy
in it
nerd
more,
girl.
Mark.
I'm sexy nerd girl's first ever boyfriend.
So I
On the
understand.
show.
Yeah, you were briefly in an episode I was in. I've had most of my interaction with Kat, so that's why. Versus
Yeah.
Valerie is, of course, the
full
The web
series.
series.
Yeah, the web series that comes from the Sexy Nerd Girl vlogs, and I believe it is launching on the 28th of February.
So you can follow both of these gentlemen on Twitter.
Yes.
Are there
So
any
here's their
other sites
tweets.
you guys would want them to know about, or Twitter is the way to find you? And then
You know
from
what?
that,
I
they can
always
find
try-
Where do you
everyone else?
live?
You know, how
Lots
many
of
more
babies.
babies are you gonna have?
That's it.
15?
No, I'm done.
Are you sure?
Are you
so
getting
done.
things sniffed? I'm kidding.
Because I heard
I'm
women
kidding.
just hit you and they get pregnant.
Yeah, that's what happens.
He
I
just
just
makes
made Kat
really
pregnant.
deep eye contact. And then, oh god.
I think I'm pregnant too.
Kat and Mike are both now pregnant.
Do you have any conventions or anything coming up?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to be going to MomoCon in Atlanta, a big gaming and anime and animation convention, and that is in early March, so I'll be there. Also, I'm going to the MCM London Expo in London, England. That's last
You
weekend
go
of
over
May.
there a lot.
Yeah,
That's
I do.
because your wife is English.
My wife is British,
That's-
yes.
Yeah,
There's actually going to be a big Mass Effect cosplay rally.
Oh,
Yes.
amazing.
So I'm bringing my armor.
You know, when you finish a play, at the end of the play, and you have to come out and you do your bows, that's the part of the play I hate the most.
Right.
Because that's me and not the character. And I kind of separate, like, even I'm still very kind of uncomfortable here, not because of you guys, just because I'm talking like
It's
as
because
myself.
of me, primarily.
Yeah.
Mike.
Mike's giving me weird looks, but mostly,
You impregnated me.
mostly it's because I have to be myself. So when I have to be myself, it's weird for me. So I like to separate the two.
You know how
which is why
fucking
I-
ugly
I
that
understand.
baby's gonna be?
Aw.
It's gonna have really pretty eyes, but
It's gotta have a beautiful voice.
I was always the kind of nerd who would go to conventions anyway, and like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
huge Halloween fan. My wife and I got married on Halloween, so we have big Halloween
Oh,
parties
well,
all
that's
the time.
cool.
Yeah. And so I essentially just like to drink beer while dressed as a supervillain. So that when somebody gave me the opportunity to like,
Dressed as
hey,
as
you can wear the armor from your thing, and it's like really good armor and it lights up and everything. So it's like, how could I turn that down?
It's
really?
cool, man.
Yeah. I feel bad.
I just want to thank Mark Meer and Elias Toufexis for being on 3
this is like
kilobytes.
this is a world
It's a-
exclusive.
I
You're
can't
not
believe
getting this anywhere else. Destructoid, Eat Your Heart Out, Kaku, or whatever.
If
the
someone
fucking website is.
if someone told me when Human Revolution came out and Mass Effect came out and I was playing the games, that you're going to be interviewing the voice actors,
And they're going to be in your house.
You wouldn't
And you're
believe
going to
them.
be. Mark
Totally
Meer's going to
not.
lie in your bed and pick up your
I still
girlfriend's
can't believe you
underwear.
did that, Mark.
That was in the last one. You can look that one up on YouTube.
I apologize for the smell.
Excellent.
Can we get them to shake hands to show that they're friendly?
Of course, sir.
Oh no, they're not friendly.
They're not.
Ah,
This is the
I'm
first
glad.
time
I'm
they've
glad
met.
jocks and nerds can get along.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally a jock. DLC much more like the actual game, the stealth, the options, things like that. So
Something just exploded upstairs.
Look at your speakers.
Yeah.
Some
Really are.
some
I'm
things
gonna
should
be so
not be
mad.
touched. Yeah.
yeah, things shouldn't be. I mean, we live in an age
I
now
should
where
be touched. What is that?
It's a cricket.
crickets.
Haha, see? He knows.
Very cute crickets.
3 kilobytes.